Hey YouTube, today I'm going to be doing the review of my Strider GB. This is, I guess, a Strider production knife. I don't know that you'd call it custom. I guess it could be semi-custom. But anyway, this is a Strider GB. It's got a tanto point. This is a newer version of the Strider GB because this has the rounded and grooved handle. It's pretty round, as you can see, and this has the tanto point. It has the regular grind on this. It's not the 3/4 grind. So I'm going to talk about this knife as I had it as an everyday carry knife for about 2 years. I'm trying to recall when I got this knife. I want to say back in 2003, 2002 maybe, 2004, whenever this knife came out. Anyways, you can see from tip to end, it's right around, I want to say almost 10 inches, 9 3/4 maybe inches. I have my Uber Commander to just kind of give you an idea on the size of it. I didn't really measure this in the last video. I think the advertised length on this is like 10.5. So I think it's right at 10.5. But the two of these side by side, the Uber Commander is still longer. Well, I want to say by ½ inch or so. But again, compared to the Uber Commander, the Strider GB, it's thick. I mean, the handles on these feel flat. So let's talk about the Strider GB. Again, this knife I purchased, I want to say in the early 2000s, whenever this rounded grooved handle came out for Strider. I also have the Strider GB, the first version where it was actually flat. So let's talk about this knife. I love the way it feels in your hand. It's a thick, burly knife. As soon as you hear it click, let's unlock this again. This thing is tight. The lockup is, you can hear it squeaking. I need to grease it, but you can hear when it opens. I mean, it's solid. The lockup, I mean, it's barely even over a fourth of the way. This is rock solid. I mean, you can hammer this on a nail and it'll probably hammer it in. Let's talk about the shape. So it's got the grooves here, finger grooves. It works well and it fits perfect, so you can hold it in this way in a forward grip. The jimping on the back side is pretty thick. Gives your finger somewhere to stop on. So if you need that extra leverage or distance or length, I'm sorry, you can hold it in this way. If you have up close work that you're whittling or cutting meat, you can move your fingers forward this way. Reverse grip feels great this way, and I guess you could hold it this way too, but I don't know why you'd want to do that. But this ramp right here with the jimping, I mean, it works well. Gives you somewhere to hold. Now, a couple things about this knife. It doesn't have a backspacer. It's open, and the reason for that is because if you use this in the field, you can get all the trash and gunk and crap out of here. Bad news is, if you do an everyday carry, do not share the pocket you carry this in with anything else. Reason being, your keys and coins will find its way into the opening and nick the blade. The liner locks on this is very thick. Both sides are thick. Just makes it for a more sturdy lock. Now in the last video I said, you know, two things about the lanyard is bad news, they'll cut or nick the blade. It doesn't apply on this knife because there is no lanyard hole on this knife. I stuck the lanyard on one of the bolts that hold the knife together. And I made the lanyard short, and because it's at the end, if I was to close this knife, there's no way that you can see that that skull or even the lanyard would connect with the tip of the blade. It'll never touch. On the Emersons, it won't work out that way because the lanyard hole is at the end here, and it'll drop down. It'll definitely make contact because the point where the actual lanyard is, it's way at the top, so it won't touch the blade. Now, the purpose for this is, I call it my pinky thong. Remember I said if you have this hanging out of your pocket, somebody could come by and take your knife away. The cool thing is, when this rides in your pocket, this barely sticks out. Let me show you the purpose of this. You can move the skull up close, like so. So this is all you have that would stick out. Or you could slide the skull down. The purpose of this is, again, I call it my pinky thong because if you've seen those knife cutting events, they have the wrist thong. So should the knife go flying out of their hands, they still have it attached to their hand. So you put your pinky here, as you can see, it looks kind of like a ring, and you can open your knife, and it gives you the reassurance that should you slip, guess what? You won't lose the knife. Again, I call this my pinky thong. I should patent it. But anyway, you can still hold the knife the way you normally do. It's just now, if you can see that, it's attached to your hand, your pinky. So it's not going anywhere. And that's a Strider GB. Don't have much more to say on it. I've seen reviews that talk about the lengths and the different materials, but what I intend to do is to give you some tips on my experiences with the everyday carry of this knife. And I've gone ahead and actually engraved my name on there too, and my initials on the top, so that should I lose this, it's got my name. Now, provided I don't commit a crime with it, I'm okay. The other thing, one more recommendation is, you can take these scales off and actually engrave your name on the liner, and you can put your own serial number in there and keep track of it should it be lost or stolen. I don't intend on selling my knives. They're everyday carry. I'll carry them for a year or two, then I'll retire them when I get a new one. So anyway, this is my Strider GB. It's got the S30V. Some of the newer knives do not have the, I think it's heat treated by Mr. Bose. This one does not. This is the newer blades that they've done. I used to know first generation, second generation, third generation, but I will do a Strider review on my other GB, which is one of the first generations. But I just like the feel of this one. This is it, Strider GB. So until next time, be careful and watch your six.